What's up, guys? It's been a few years since I did my last Halloween ranking right after Halloween ends, and my mind has changed on quite a few of these. So I thought, why not go ahead and give you a brand new, fresh Halloween ranking? Let's do this. What's up, guys? I'm a little intimidated because I'm doing a brand new Halloween ranking. You'll know why I am intimidated if you check out this pregame video that I just recorded and put on the second channel. I will put a card right here or here, wherever YouTube puts the cards. And you can click on that, and I would ask you to watch that quick little video. I think it's like 5 minutes before, or you just want to watch the ranking. But if you want to see my mindset on the ranking, yeah, check out that video, okay? Because I don't want to spend too much time, I guess, setting this up. Also, real quick, Davey Death Ray is actually releasing a ranking at the same time as I am right now. So after you watch this video, go over to Davey's channel, check out his ranking, give him a subscribe. He's doing awesome stuff, and he's such a dear friend. He's part of the Hit the Bricks podcast. Nick from the Lost River Drive-In is also a part of Hit the Bricks, and he put out a brand new ranking. Maybe he inspired me to do this. I'll put a link to his ranking down below as well. Okay. All right. That's it. So with that out of the way, let's get into the ranking. And by the way, producer's cut and the theatrical cut will be two separate entries because I think they are different enough, especially since the last acts are completely different. Yes, there are director's cuts of a few of these movies, but for the most part, I think these movies are pretty much one entry. So 14 movies. That's what you're getting. Number 14, Rob Zombie's Halloween. There was another movie that was the last place for the longest time, which you can probably guess, but I really sat down and thought about this entire franchise, and I really thought about my last place, and what is the movie that I can't get through? And I guess that would have to be The Last Place, right? Technically, Rob Zombie's Halloween is probably a better movie than my previous Last Place, but I have the toughest time getting through the movie. Yeah, there are some fun moments in there. I think Myers looks amazing in the movie. It just doesn't feel like a traditional Halloween movie. It feels like a trailer park Halloween movie, I guess. You know, the characters drive me insane in this movie. There's so much yelling, not just in the final act by Laurie Strode, but all throughout this freaking movie, especially the beginning. It feels like yelling. I think Laurie, Annie, and Linda, when they all three are together, that's not the trio that I really like. You know, they're kind of gross.
The sheriff, huh? Why don't you go crawl back under your fucking rock?
When Michael is like staring at them, and then you got Annie, I don't know. I don't like these characters in this movie, and it just annoys the shit out of me most of the time. Okay? And I know this is a controversial opinion. I know a lot of you love Rob Zombie's Halloween. I know Nick loves Rob Zombie's Halloween, okay? But I'll make up for it later in the ranking, I promise. Okay, number 13, Halloween Resurrection. The biggest problem with Halloween Resurrection is it feels like a direct-to-video type movie, right? It doesn't feel like a theatrical released movie, even though it was, but it was pushed back a year because they were kind of embarrassed by it and they just wanted to get it out of the way. You can tell that even Jamie Lee Curtis wants nothing to do with this movie while she is in it. She just does not feel in her comfort zone in this movie, I guess. Making Michael Myers a joke is one of the biggest crimes this franchise has ever made. Busta Rhymes is a funny character, and I think if there's sort of like a Halloween parody type movie, then yeah, it would be fun.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
And you know what? I'll say something nice about Resurrection. I do think it looks better than, like, say, H2O, which it came right after. I like the cinematography in this movie, if that counts for anything. I think it does look really good. And I'll even say this. I think it's got a better score than H2O. Okay, so there you go. Which leads me to number 12, Halloween H2O. You know, these bottom three, they're pretty easy for me. It's after this point that it starts getting a little tough. But H2O, I've always had problems with this movie. I don't like Halloween feeling like a Scream movie. And, you know, you can blame Scream, but really it's just the 90s. And I have a good time with 90s slashers. But something feels off about making Michael Myers a 90s slasher movie. I love Laurie Strode in this movie. I think Laurie Strode is better in this movie than she is in a lot of the other movies that she's in. But just a great Laurie Strode cannot make up for all the problems that I have with this movie. The mask, the score, hate the score in this movie. The setting feels like summer. Halloween should feel like fall. I don't like how this movie feels like a summer Halloween movie. And it came out in the summer, I believe. I think it came out in like August. And it feels like that. It doesn't have like that autumn feel. And that's a big thing for me, okay? It feels PG-13. In most Halloween movies, great Halloween movies, they feel very much R. This one, not so much. I can throw it on. It's a fun watch at times, but I still find myself getting annoyed by it as I'm watching it. I know a lot of you, this is the first movie that you saw in the theater, and that's a nostalgia thing for you, and it's near and dear to your heart. And I have that with some of these movies, okay? So I get that, but I've never been on the H2O train. It annoyed me the night I saw it in the theater. Seriously. I walked out of that movie having seen the previous 6 movies, a few of them in the theater, and I didn't feel what I felt with those movies. I didn't feel like that chill run down my spine. You know, I just felt like it was a popcorn movie. That's what it was. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it happens to be number 12 on my list. All right, number 11, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. I always have a really good time with this movie, but I cannot argue with the problems that are clearly evident in here. And I don't even mind the Myers house looking like a Gothic mansion. You know, years ago, after I discovered Italian horror, thanks to my dear friend, the late Dylan Clancy, I started watching Halloween 5 in a different manner. And I see it now as a giallo film. I see it now as like an Italian horror film. It really feels that way. I've even come around to Tina quite a bit. I actually kind of love the character now. She's very different, and I think that's a good thing. I think the movie starts off really, really rough. You know, I think there's way too much daylight in this movie that kind of annoys me about it. The score is a problem for me. There are some nice moments with the score in the movie, but there are other times where the score feels very, very hollow. Give you an example, the scene where Jamie is running in the laundry room. Just listen to the score during that scene. It sounds like Alan Howarth is just kind of tapping piano keys. And I don't know, it just feels kind of lazy, I guess, okay? And this is a franchise that's known for having amazing scores. And that particular moment, and there's a lot of moments in this movie, the score feels very, I guess second nature. Having the honks and the whistles with the cops, I don't mind it if you look at it like a giallo movie, because giallo movies do have some weird, funny shit in there. So again, when you watch Halloween 5, just look at it as a giallo movie. I even made my own Dr. Death cut because they put out the Dr. Death footage, and I got rid of the old man Hermit and I put in the Dr. Death, and I think it actually works a little bit better for the movie. Okay, number 10, Halloween 2018. And when this movie first came out, I put it at number 2. I kid you not. It's embarrassing. I've caught a lot of shit because of my treatment of David Gordon Green's Halloween. I've lost subscribers probably because my mind changed so much. This is the movie that my mind has changed the most, I think, out of this entire franchise. This movie, it seduced me, I think, because of the state of Halloween at the time. I think a lot of you can remember just are in the horror circles when Halloween 2018 not just came out, but the lead up to it. Just think about it right now. Think of the lead up to Halloween 2018 and where you were at the time and the fever that was in the air. Like, it was almost like impossible for this movie to live up to the hype. But it ended up being just a crowd-pleasing type movie. It's pretty much a better H2O movie in terms of, like, visually speaking. It does have the autumn feel to it. Myers looks freaking badass as hell. I didn't even talk about Krista Rand's Myers in H2O. I've talked about that ad nauseum. But, it had James Jude Courtney. And we were all blown away. James Jude Courtney was so good that we forgot about Nick Castle. That's how good he was in this movie. So it has one of the scariest death scenes in the entire franchise with the bathroom scene. But I do think this movie is sort of all over the place structure-wise. I think there's a scene that's supposed to be a chase scene with Allison that just kind of stops abruptly, which is very weird. I think there's a little bit too much girl power in the final act with all three taking down Myers. So I do prefer Laurie Strode in H2O over this movie, although I still like Laurie Strode in this movie. She's still really good. But if 2018 did anything, just the lead up to the movie, I think, was something to really be studied. You know, the excitement of a little horror movie. We don't usually get that type of excitement. We did for like maybe It. You know, most of the times horror movies come out and they come and go, and sometimes they do well at the box office and they're good, but the lead up to them isn't as feverish as Halloween 2018 was. And out of this entire franchise, I think that one movie had more hype around it than any other movie. It was a good time to be alive, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, number 9, Halloween 2, the original, 1981.
It's time, Michael.
I think the look of this movie and how it marries up to the first movie are the strongest attributes to this. I think this is not my favorite Laurie Strode for obvious reasons. She's kind of out of it for most of the movie, like literally, like just almost like comatose. So there is a dry spot, but I wouldn't say this movie's boring because of just the look of it. Dean Cundey's cinematography is just unmatched. I remember Brandon Tabata put out like a little 2-minute snippet about the look of Halloween 2, and I think he said it much better than I could. But there is something creepy about, like, just you look at a single frame in this movie with nothing going on, and there's something about it that gets under your skin. And maybe it's the time frame that it came out, you know, 1981, such a landmark year in horror. And I think this has probably one of the best final acts of the entire franchise, with the big showdown between Loomis coming in to save the day in the hospital with Laurie there. I get chills every time I watch that scene. But there's a lot of stuff that you can kind of pick at with this movie too, with Laurie outside of the hospital when you got Loomis and them going in there and she can't get a word out, stuff like that. But that's stuff that I guess has to happen, I guess, for the story to move forward. Look, John Carpenter even said this movie was like an abomination or something like that. If you look at like an interview, I did an entire documentary on the Halloween franchise when Ends came out. And I included that clip in there, but if you watch the documentary, you'll see he was not too fond of Halloween 2 and Rick Rosenthal's work. But this is some people's like second favorite movie. I've seen some people say this is their favorite movie. Okay, number 8, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. From this point on, guys, we are in Moneyland, okay? 8 and on, all these movies to me are freaking top notch. They could almost be number 1 or number 2, I guess, because we all know what number 1 is usually. But yeah, you just need to know that, okay? Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 has been in my top 5 before. It's that strong of a movie. I absolutely adore everything about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, how different it was than the first movie. He got the remake out of his system. He comes back and he gives us this just really gritty 16 millimeter feel story about trauma. And it doesn't have characters screaming all the time, because I don't hate all of Rob Zombie's movies. And I'd say Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is his probably best movie in my mind. And I think a lot of the characters that came back in this movie, I think this is where they really found their footing and they got really comfortable. I think Scout Taylor Compton is so much better here. I think Brad Dourif, I mean, he's always awesome. But, you know, his reaction to Annie dying is one of the most heartfelt, emotional scenes out of the entire franchise. But, you know, to steal a term from Davey Dethray, this is the most punk rock movie out of the franchise. I love the music. I have the score to this movie, and it's just got a great soundtrack. You know, there's so many great songs in this. You got the great Jeff Daniel Phillips, which is where we got the Hit the Bricks, Dorothy. You know, the Hit the Bricks name for the podcast, it came from Jeff Daniel Phillips. I love that freaking character so much. So this movie is just so badass. I absolutely love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So I'm looking at number 7 and 6, and I'm going to swap them, okay? So number 7 is actually number 6 now, okay? See, you see? I can literally change on the fly. So number 7, the new number 7 right now is Halloween 6, the producer's cut. And I'm so glad. I don't remember if the last ranking I split them up, but if I didn't, I'm glad I did this time, because I recently gave the producer's cut a fresh watch, kind of for Davey, even though he didn't ask me to, but he had been talking about it. And I remember like Robbie Sobel, he also said he prefers the producer's cut. And I saw a lot more people saying they prefer. I was like, how could you prefer the producer's cut? So I gave it a fresh watch. And now I understand why some people prefer the producer's cut, because I think structurally it is the better movie. It has a more consistent score, which it's got one of the best scores, I think, of the franchise. I love the music of the producer's cut. It feels much more natural for a Halloween movie. I think the autumn vibes are, better than the theatrical cut here. I think it just falls apart in the final act. I hate the choices that they made. And I think the biggest thing is controlling Myers and also having Myers be the father of baby Steven. It's spelled out in the producer's cut, and I think that was a big mistake. But I think it's highly rewatchable after watching it again recently. It made me actually want to watch it again. I watched it back to back with the theatrical cut. Okay, so now number 6 is Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills.
This ends when Michael is dead. Michael Myers will be executed tonight, and it will not go without witness. Evil dies tonight.
If you want a Michael Myers that is so freaking badass, just a locomotive killing machine, then this is your movie. I think the fireman scene is one of the most awesome freaking scenes in the franchise. I think every movie in this franchise has shining moments, or most movies, that really kind of shine above all others. Kills shines in the kills department, the action department. It really is an action type of movie. And Myers is just, I think he might kill more people in this movie than any other movie in the franchise. But I also love, that Myers is such a force, and he's probably his scariest in this movie. Maybe second only to Halloween 6. Like, you do not want to be in a room with Myers in this movie. He will freaking annihilate you. And I absolutely love the last act in Halloween Kills. I think the evil dies tonight is probably the biggest issue with this movie. I think you could cut out a few of those. I'd say I don't mind the line, but I just think they say it too much. I think there's an easy edit to this movie, and I thought about doing it actually. You just need to cut out a couple of those, and I think you'll be good. I actually like Tommy Doyle in this movie. I know he's one of the most hated characters, basically because he failed because he was an idiot. But at least he stood up. At least he tried. At least he did something. He stood. He led the charge, and sometimes the leader falls, and that's what happened. This is the story of a fallen leader. But the last act in this movie, I think, is so freaking money. I think Cameron's death is absolutely gut-wrenching and brutal. I mean, he just destroys Cameron. Adding to that is Allison's reaction, having to watch her boyfriend get killed. And Myers, he gave no fucks. He was just like, you know what? I'm going to make you watch me kill him before I come down there and I kill you. And then Myers just obliterating, the mob, this group of people that wanted to take him down. Led by Tommy Doyle, thinking that okay, we got this. We're going to finally take him down. No. He gives them all the first punch. Go ahead. Everybody gets a lick, all right? And then I'm going to get up and I'm just going to completely destroy you guys. And that's what he does. Okay, top 5. We are in the top 5. Number 5, Halloween 3. Is this movie like always in my top 5? It should be if it's not.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Halloween 3, it's refreshing. That's what I love about this movie. After the first 2 movies with Myers, it's like we take a break, right? We take a break and then we have like a separate little Halloween story that still has those vibes that the first 2 movies have, because a lot of the same team came back to shoot Halloween 3. Tommy Lee Wallace directing this movie, and he still gives it a very Carpenter feel. I love Tom Atkins and Stacey Nelkin in this. It's a strong male-female duo leading the charge. It's like a lost Carpenter movie. That's what this movie feels like. Even though Carpenter didn't direct it, it feels like a Carpenter movie. And I think Tommy Lee Wallace, working alongside Carpenter, he probably took a lot of notes. But I also love the idea, Chalice, this guy that just wants to kill every child on the planet Earth. He is absolutely insane, out of his mind. Myers is insane. Chalice is a different type of insane, and he's a businessman, a very wealthy businessman, which makes it even scarier. Sometimes I wonder if Ellie was a robot throughout the entire movie. I don't think she was, but sometimes I like to think she was, because I think there's enough blank space in there to maybe sell that she was, you know, a fembot throughout the entire movie. I don't know. Number 4, Halloween Ends, which is interesting. We have 2 movies back to back that are kind of part 3s, kind of a step in a different direction. And I do believe Halloween Ends is going to become this cult hit. Like, it's going to have a cult following. I think it's already starting to have a cult following. I'm already starting to see people come around to it. And I've even seen people state that I hated this movie so much, but a few years had went by and they decided, I'm going to give this movie another chance. And if they didn't fully come around to it, they were starting, like, now I see what they're going for here. And I think a big part of it is because it's part of a trilogy. I think that if this was a one-off movie, I think it would have fared a lot better. Can you imagine if 2018 never came out and it was just Halloween Ends? I know some of you are like, oh my God, that would have been horrible. And I think business-wise, it was the right move for Halloween 2018, but I do think Ends would have fared a little bit better if it was just a one-off type movie, because if you set it aside, I think it's a great freaking movie. I love the score of the movie. I love Rowan Campbell as Corey. I really got behind Corey. After I read the novelization, I loved the movie even more because there's so much in the novelization that's not in the movie that really helps to kind of beef up Corey as a character. Not that it needs to be in the movie, but it's nice that there's an option to read a novelization. I think it'll make you kind of understand even more what they're going for in this. But I like that after kills, maybe you feel a little bit exhausted from all the kills. This was more story-based. This was more about the evil and what happens when the evil is passed on. And I've always been interested in those like supernatural vibes, right? And then the franchise is made up of supernatural because Myers himself isn't human. There's an argument to be made that he is because they never come out and say it, but let's face it, he's not. So the fact that evil could, you know, pass from Myers to somebody else, it's kind of a fun avenue to explore. And also I have to say Ends might be like my favorite score of the entire franchise. I think the first one's probably the best score still because of that iconic theme. But I think as a, you know, variety wise, the score is just filled with so many different moods and emotions. And I love the, you know, the opening of this movie that it's more of just a vibe and you can feel the tension rising as Corey's looking for the kid. And then as soon as the mother says, "What have you done?" it goes into the theme. Man, that's one of the like most chill bump inducing scenes for me of the franchise. But I will say this too, guys, and I don't gatekeep. I don't tell people that you're wrong for not liking Halloween Ends. That's the beauty of movies, okay? My brain's different than your brain. And sometimes movies, they just affect us in different ways, all right? And that's fine. That's fine. But I do love it when people do come around to this movie. I do find that really, really cool. Okay, number 3, Halloween 4.
Still don't understand.
And if you follow my channel, if you know my rankings in the past, Halloween 4 has been my number 2 for the longest time. You know, there was a brief moment after Halloween 2018 came out that it dethroned Halloween 4, but quickly Halloween 4 jumped back to number 2. And I can tell you right now, it might jump back to number 2 again. But this ranking is for how I am feeling right now, okay? But if you do the math, you can figure out what number 2 is. But yeah, Halloween 4, that's not to take anything away from Halloween 4. I still have all the same feelings. This is the first movie I saw in the theater. And it always holds a special place in my heart. But I think it's got the quality to back it up. I think atmosphere-wise, this probably second place for the most atmosphere out of the entire franchise. As much shit as Myers gets in this movie for the mask, I find him to be one of the scariest portrayals of Myers. And I do think story-wise, this is one of the best stories in terms of, you know, a beginning, a middle, and an end that really swings for the fences and just floors you. And I think this is the scariest Halloween movie. You know, if there is a scariest Halloween movie, I think this one is. At least it was for me. And the proof is in the pudding because it scared the shit out of me. This is the movie that caused me to have nightmares about Michael Myers. Never had nightmares about any other killer, just Michael Myers. That's because of this movie. And I love the relationship between Jamie Lloyd and Rachel. I think Rachel has a nice arc in here because, you know, she's a selfish teenager at the beginning, and all she wants to do is hook up with Brady. But by the end of the movie, all she wants to do is protect Jamie. She wants to be a good protector and sister of Jamie. And I think that's why so many people love Rachel, and I think that's why when she was killed in 5, it pissed off a lot of people. Let's just say that. It pissed off so many people when they killed Rachel. And, you know, I think that's just a testament to how strong a character she is. I mean, I'll even admit this. As much as I want a Jamie Lloyd movie, if you told me I could have a Rachel Carruthers movie, but I can't have Jamie Lloyd, I would take the Rachel Carruthers movie, if I'm being honest. You know, and she still looks great. I think she would be fantastic. And she was on the Talk Scary to Me podcast recently, and she stated she would love to come back to the franchise. So I know she's dead, but, you know, if you just retcon 5 and on, then yeah, I'd bring her back in a heartbeat, okay? But I have to say this too, and I've said it so many times, but Loomis's reaction to seeing Jamie Lloyd at the end of the movie, he thinks, okay, the nightmare's over. This is done. I can go on with my life, but no.
No!
The evil has passed, which, funny enough, we just talked about that in Halloween Ends, okay? Evil has passed to Jamie Lloyd, and just the acting by Donald Pleasance in that scene, it just floored me. And it was more his reaction that scared me than anything. Okay, number 2, Halloween 6, theatrical cut.
Michael, please don't hurt me.
But there's a little caveat there, okay? Yes, the theatrical cut is still my number 2, but I often watch the Blue Myers cut, which is my cut. I've had so many people ask me for my cut, and I happily give it to them. All you got to do is email me, and I'll happily send it to you. But if you want the best of both cuts, then you watch the Blue Myers cut, because it has the final act of Halloween 6, but it has all the great character beats of the producer's cut. But the reason I put the theatrical cut here is because I love the final act of this movie. I love the atmosphere of Halloween 6. As much as I love the vibe and the score of the producer's cut, that doesn't take away from how much I love the more like rock and roll, punk rock style of the theatrical cut. And I'll borrow a phrase from Christian Hanna here. He basically stated that Halloween 6 is the most metal Halloween movie. And he's right, it is. This movie feels brutal. I love George P. Wilbur's performance in here. I love the freaking atmosphere. Everything about this movie is just, it's the most rewatchable Halloween movie for me. I've watched it so many times, and I see so many people coming around to 6. Comparing it to like H2O, I see more people kind of descending on H2O and more people ascending on Halloween 6. It's just, it garners the biggest fan base. And I think it's just such a unique movie. There's a lot of unique movies in this franchise, and 6 is definitely one of them. Okay, number 1, John Carpenter's Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween is my all-time favorite movie. It will always be my number 1. Let's see, on the last ranking, I think I told you like a little story, I think about my grandmother. I always try to do something different for John Carpenter's Halloween because I've talked about it so many times, and I don't want to repeat myself. So for this particular ranking, I'll talk about Loomis, okay? I'll talk about Loomis because I think Loomis, especially in John Carpenter's Halloween, is a big reason why this movie was so successful. Yes, we've had the detective, or, you know, the protector type character, right? Even though he's a doctor, he's still like the protector type character. And he's the one that saves Laurie Strode in the end of the movie. The drive that Loomis has, never stopping. It's almost like his whole life is about stopping Michael Myers. You know, there's nothing else important. He doesn't have a family, or at least they never talk about him having a family, having a wife. His whole life has been about Michael Myers. It's kind of a tragedy because that's your life. Can you imagine that? Your whole life has been trying to stop evil from killing others. And I've, had different scenarios in my head, like who could play Loomis now that, Donald Pleasance is gone? And the answer is nobody. We can throw out names all day, but at the end of the day, yeah, you might get a good portrayal, but you'll never have another Donald Pleasance, right? He is just that good he is Loomis. And I think maybe he might be the character that Loomis was the most proud of. I don't know. Maybe some of you might know. Maybe he talked about it. But yeah, I mean, the first movie, it's just so iconic. It gets bigger and bigger every year, which is absolutely insane because of how simple it is. And that's why it works, because it's so simple. So yeah, guys, that's it. My ranking. Will I ever do another ranking? Sure, I will. If we ever have another Halloween movie, then yeah, I'll do another ranking. But yeah, this was really, really fun doing another ranking. Now you should definitely go and check out Davey's ranking and check out Nick's that he put out last week. If you want to see the clips from the Hit the Bricks podcast, make sure that you subscribe to Drumdums Xtra, my second channel, where you'll get those clips, you'll get other type videos, you'll get the pregame video that I did for this. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to that. Be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, if you're on Fridays, follow my Drumdums on my social, support me on Patreon, become a channel member, buy me coffee. Have a good day, and Drumdum out, Mike!